This is part 2 of the huge scam going around between the physical world and as well more like the spirit world, using different spirit ways to control animals back in 1876. Then carry up to all up to the 90s, so you can directly purchase a device you can more like using your hand. Then, after moving from there, moving more to the anti-denial system, a device to control people, and go from biggest more like on a military truck, and now today can be used right in the palm of your hand, just the same as with the animals. The very year, more like 1990, when it was released, the one from what the animal, don't wave signals to control them, to train them, seemed so harmful right then. Well, that was more like the same year the more to start passing some of that information down to more doing it to more people as well. Now, of course, I say both of them like been going back further than more like the records and stuff been saying. Both been going on way more longer than that. If you look it up, they ain't gonna tell you the exact more like year, but I'm sure they go more further than that. If you know how these things go way more further than what what you can easily find anywhere. Now, all them things the anti-denial system can do, and it can do a whole lot of things to you. If you want to hear more about what it can do to you, let's go on and look at part 1 of this video. Now things into the category of control are way more further than what they pronounce on the anti-denial system. It's way more further than that. This other way others been controlling people goes back further than more like 1876, when they start more like doing on research to ways on animal. Go back way further. Go back further more like that year. Go back further in the 1700s, the 1600s, the 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, even down to the 1000. Go back further than that. Yeah, this other method goes back real far when it comes down to more like controlling different people. Now, when they're using the anti-denial system, they are on information they just don't want have right then. No matter what it's from the truck they're using, or more like the latest device version they got today, can fit more like in the palm of your hand. There are things that just more like it's not directly there for them to directly know certain things about you. But and cool more like that device don't deliver these certain detailed information about you. This other method do. This other method might do what the anti-denial system, all what it do. It can raise more like your how you your temperature, bring it up, bring it down. It can more like make you feel like you're about to vomit as well. It can more like force more like certain feelings on you. It can it can do more like cause you to go to the bathroom. This method can more like put thoughts in your head. They can force you to act on actual thoughts too. So yes, this method is just similar to the anti-denial system, but it's a lot more control things they can do to you. A whole lot more things. And this method has been going on longer than both of them devices, more like in the first more like video. Yeah, this is more like part 2 of that video. The anti-denial system and this other method the others be using, both can more like force more like thoughts literally throughout your brain, and send you directly messages more like directly in the middle of your brain, on the left, right, up, down, left and right, anywhere in the brain. And as well, just like more like in the denial system, these more like other women like they send out different messages saying they are God. In fact, they ain't God at all. So yes, anytime more like if you hear something in the middle of your brain, what says God, put a no there. But if somehow you do believe more like it's God, there's a test you can more do. Grab yourself a brand new book, head to a room, put on a blindfold, and open up a random page, and pick out more like the first more like sentence or more like the second sentence. Pick out where you want to on the book and where the alignment at. Ask the one who said they are God more like what do that say with the blindfold on. If they more like don't want to answer you, or they start to more like start to hesitate, or they start to bush on it, then that's not who they claim to be. That is a real easy question for God to answer. It doesn't matter more like if you're looking at something or not looking at something. God can easily more answer that question. No matter if it's one of the oldest books out there or the newest books out there. So directly answer that question. And if they somehow do pass that test, well, let me know in the comments if they pass that test. I have another test for them. Now, the way I said it before, more like the one who uses that at the denying system, claiming they are God, putting that voice in between your brain, or more like on the left or right or up or down, saying these things. Well, that's why I'm like this test is good for more like them and good for those negative spirits and psychic. The method more like is a bit more different. They're more like the one who used at the denial system. This older method to controlling people is way more older than the at the denial system, and it's way more advanced, and they get all kinds of information on you. All kinds of information on you. So it doesn't matter more like if they're using the at the denial system or they're using this very, very, very old method the negative spirits and psychic be using to control people. This test really more like put them out there right on the spotlight. So yes, if you start to believe them, put them to that test. Very important to caution anything said they are God running around into your brain, no matter it's more like in the middle or the left and right or up and down. No matter how the vibration feels, or no matter how strong it feels, caution the one says that and put them to that test again. When you first get spiritual awakened from this reality of things out here, it's a lot of different things are new to you. You start questioning your belief in different things you were so secure on. You start to question it now. So yes, it's a huge transformation once you become spiritual awakened. It's a long list of things. Now, into on that list, there are many stories of spiritual awakening. I hear so many different stories out there when it comes down to this. But it's one thing more like I haven't really came across when it comes down to you being spiritual awakened. I have not came across this not one time out of the many stories I have came across a spiritual awakening. When people first time get spiritual awakened, haven't came across this at all. Now it could be someone have talked about this before, but if they have talked about this before, I haven't came across this story before. One main reason comes to me why you really don't hear about this story across more like on social media, on different people's spiritual awakening. A lot of people don't want you to know about this information like this. They really don't. They want you to know about it in another way, about this detailed information when it comes down to spiritual awakening. This would be a good information to know ahead. Similar more like how there's so many different guys out there to do this and do that. Well, this is like a little test thing you go through. And I ain't know nothing about this test. But, and cool others don't talk about it, I will talk about. What others don't talk about, I do talk about. For whatever reason, they don't say this and that. Well, that don't stop me from like saying this or that. Don't things holding them back, they do not hold me back. So I will go over this right now. Now, this is about how this goes. You more like you lay down once you've been spiritual awakened. It don't happen right then after you get spiritual awakened. It happen more like later on. Could be more like the same week for you. Could be more like the second week, the third week, the next month. It usually don't take too long for that to happen. Usually in the first week. But not always. It can happen more like the second week. Depending on a few things. Depending on how long it may be take for this to happen. But the first thing happen is during a time like one day you fall asleep. Once you fall asleep, things are completely different in this dream. This dream is nothing like the usual dream. This dream is now more like a test. And you know how you usually see more like your dreams? You got more like a huge screen in front of you. A huge screen in front of you. And this is what they have in front of you. They have something in front of you like this. Got ministration here. And it's just as you see right here. More like the words ministration. And they got more like a list of things for you to pick here. This is basically more like your test here. And determine what you pick, determine what's going to happen next through you. Now this is a test between these negative spirits and negative psychics, and as well more like the positive more like spirits, and as well the positive more like psychics as well. It's from like both parties here. In my end, I didn't get more like the positive ones. I got the negativity ones. And this is basically more like the little test they got here. They want you to literally pick one of these. Now, of course, when you're first looking at this chart here, you really know more like what is going on. You would win on that at first, like what is going on. But the time frame they give you and stuff, it's not too much thinking in the category. It's really not. But if you see this more like direct right now, plenty of things going to your mind. Yeah, but in the time frame I want to show you this, ain't too much thinking going on there. But they literally want you more to pick one of these. So yes, that right there more like tell you that's a huge plus. Things are not more like the way you see or seen or even believe how things are with yourself, things around you, things around the world, the universe, and a whole lot of other things. This little chart here just gets you the question thing when you really think about it. So yes, when you see this chart, these are the things you can more like pick between these things. Determine more like where you're from, and as well more like determine more what year it is, and determine on a few other things. This chart probably look different for you. Up top, when it got administrator there, it could say something different. Really more like it could say anything up top. The main key thing about more this page they be showing you is this list more they got here. Up top, they have God. Down below, angel. Underneath that, devil. Right underneath there, more like a demon. Now, you maybe that's all you see, like literally. Or you maybe want to see more like a psychic down below. So those four things, you probably might see those more than anything. That fifth thing, you maybe see that. When it comes down to the actual cutting stuff, determine more like a few things. It could be exactly like this, or it could be more yellow, or it could be more like a different cutter when it comes down to the page cutter itself. When it comes down to the order how it is like here, it could be just like this, or it could be more like from left to right or right to left. Depending on more like a few things, more like depending on where you at, depending on the year, depending on a few things who's showing you this. Yes, this right here more like is basic, more like how it looks. But yeah, open up your imagination and open up things. If you fall asleep one day, if you somehow got more like a choice to pick things, one of these things here, because they really do want you to pick one of these things. Very similar to more like in a video game. More like you about to more like pick your character, and you got different choices here and there before more like the game starts. So it's kind of similar like that. And as well, this is more clues and stuff. This is where more like is a virtual reality. So yes, be aware if you actually see this chart thing. And of course, when it comes down to more like power scale and stuff, more like in a whole lot of lists is linked into that. More like as you see, this is more like what it links to. So on top, you would get more like all your stuff, like literally all your stuff, whatever you supposed to get. Down below, you would get less, and less, and less. And two, it's not about nothing. It is more things you would get as well, more finer details into it. But the main thing when you're looking at this, the best thing you can go at to is the very top. So always pick that first thing, the very top. Never mind the rest of the list there, and you pick that. And yeah, you're supposed to get more all that is more supposed to be yours. So definitely want to pick that choice right there. Now, if this chart is on, you look at it, somehow it gets more complicated, or you look at a version more complicated again, pick that first thing again, whatever they show to you. Now, after you look at this about 1, 2, maybe 3 seconds, then you see another thing start to happen. You will start to see this. The words and stuff we go from moving up like a movie theater. Now, when it comes down to the cutter of it, they would not be changed a cutter like in this video here. It should be about the same cutter as that first starting frame there. Now it could change depending on who again will like showing you this, or it could stay the same. And during this time, they basically want you to do is read, and this is a long charted list here. Now, you don't have to read every single bit of that, but once you read that, they're going to move you on to another section, and then another section. And depending on a few things, that could be it then, or another section. Tell me more who's more trying to administrate you, and determine again who it is. So yes, this happen more like once you get spiritual awakened, and a few other things to want to happen more for this to happen to you. So yes, so definitely like keep your eyes on this chart and always pick the top thing up there. By picking that word God, it do mean what it means, and it do not mean what it means. It's a little something there. Like that test I told you to do. More like it's one of the negative spirits, more like come around you, and more like pick the word God in more like the middle of your brain with a strong vibration and stuff. Now even more like if they do this, and even somehow they do pick that, by using that test, more like I told you before, grabbing a brand new book, going to more the next room, pinning more like a blindfold over you, and as well more like pinning a random more like a page and a random more like paragraph. It could be the first one, second one, third one, or the next page, something brand new. And they still cannot more like tell you what's on that page there. Now, if somebody managed to get by more like that test, I do have another test. That's why I say, if somehow they get by that test, let me know in the comment. I got another test to show they ain't what they claim to be. So consider more like in different ways you are in more like a video game, and more like by picking God, basically picking more like the top tier, and basically more like that's what you're picking. But if you know about when it comes down to the word God, there are so many different characters out there on TV go by the word God, but not everything go by Almighty. So it's different more like things like you got more like God, then you got demigod, and the list goes on and on. If you've been watching TV, you know there are plenty thoughts in the word more like God. So yes. So yes, I told you before, it's a little something there. But if you really want all is yours, all that really belongs to you, no matter how much you're supposed to get when it comes down to power or ability or whatever the increase. Because whatever you pick, you should be getting an increase in something. Pardon me there. You should be definitely getting an increase in something. Story, you definitely gonna get an increase in the power category and a list of other things. But at the same time, the other things that you will not get. Yeah, it's a list of things. I'm not gonna go down that list. If y'all curious about more like these different things that you would get and not get when it comes down to if you pick that in the comments there. If you're that curious about it. So yes, I definitely will be talking more deeper about that more like another time. But yes, consider more like you playing more like a game and you sort of pick that top tier, and now that that top tier got all kinds of stuff. So yes, definitely more like pick that top thing. It's gonna really help out with the short one and long one. And never mind when it comes down to these other negative spirits and psychics, try to convince you not to more like pick that. They will try to get you not to pick that. Convince you don't want that. And more ways than one, you do want that. You definitely do want that for many other reasons. So when you see this, when you lay down, more like the entire day, or you just fall asleep and see this, pick that. Take my advice on that. That's the best thing you can pick on that whole chart there. Now, one big reason the negative spirits and negative psychics don't want you to pick that, what the things that you're doing to humanity and to other things around you, it do make it more harder for them to do these things. And going by how much stuff they do, you really don't want to make it easy on them. So that's another reason to pick that. So definitely pick that again. Now that brings me up to another topic. For a while now, you've been hearing different stories and stuff. If you somehow more like hear different voices, any direction, you need to go to more like the clinic, check in there so they can help you out. They get you some pills, or they're gonna stick you with needles, depending on who you are, or they're gonna do other things. They meant to want to help you out. The pills is meant for what to depress the things around you. So hearing on different more like voices and stuff, seeing another thing going with you. I was watching more like a commercial one day of this guy, more like he's rarely known in the spiritual community. He's a big name. I'm not gonna name him up here though. But when I was looking at more like this video, he was saying more if you got more like a positive, more like spirit around you, and you can hear them, and they helping you here and there. And the way he described it, things are okay, like literally okay. Things are all thumbs up. The way he was describing. So the way I'm thinking is more like if things okay, showing nothing's wrong with you, since you got more like a positive, more like a spirit, and then more like he was saying more like if it's a negative one, you need more like go and get yourself checked in. Now, how do that make any sense at all? More like one end, you need to get checked in into these places, and more like because it's negativity. But the other end, if it's positive, you don't need to get checked in. You don't need to go to the different things in there, from this thing to that thing to this thing. Then it set you with drugs to depress this certain sense has popped up and unlocked for you can be more aware in another way. So it really don't make no sense at all. The way I'm saying is, if the positive way saying, well, there's nothing wrong with you at all, then the negative way as well is nothing wrong with you at all. It just means now you can more like sense things in a different way. So yes, so they're more like keep that in mind, and then one more like you start more like hearing different things. Maybe nothing's wrong with y'all. Maybe it's meant for you to hear these things for other reasons. So yes, Now at the same time, if the negative like spirits, now at the same time, if the negative spirits and psychics are just to continue doing a whole lot of things to you, and you can't take more like what is actually going with you, and you really more like want to get that help more like a lot of people want to get, I advise you to get that help. Go and get that help. But don't Dr. Moore do what they do, and they're gonna help you to press them down. Now they got more down. If you start hearing voices, they got to put you down more. You got schizophrenia. You can hear voices. The doctor can put you on different more like medicine to help depress it, but there are times that medicine they put you on can't depress it all the way. So they put you on different coping skills to add to your life to help depress it even more, and help to deal with it more. Now, if you start more hearing voices like through the TV, to more electronic. It doesn't matter more if it's from the fan or it's from more like the AC or more like or some more other electronic, that literally. Or you just directly can feel the vibration moving from one electronic to the next electronic to the next electronic. What you actually experience from, if this is a negative spirit running across around you, and a negative more like psychic doing that to you. So yes, this directly more like is dealing more like literally around you. More like the negative spirits and negative psychics around you doing them things. Now, when it comes down to that ministration thing, once they done more like doing that, one thing they do, they more like they train themselves in different ways is to help themselves to go out here and do different things out here. Depending on a few things, determine what they do. So yes, the ministration is definitely more part of the negative spirits and negative psychic. The more I learn different ways is to do these different things to people. So definitely more like pay attention to that. Right then I had a little more like a problem there, and they can get more serious than that from them. Yeah, these negative spirits and psychic will attack you in all kinds of ways. But on that note, that about more like do it for more like part 2. So if you want to hear more about this topic and what more like what's really going on around you, I mean the real truth that other people not talking about between the physical world and the spirit world, more like go right on to more like part 3 of this video. So I'll catch y'all over there.